two little kind of paper models of what the box sizes could be.
Those are a lot smaller in person than they look like in the photos.
Exactly, yeah,
That's great. Small is better.
This was the big one, which has plenty of space for everything on the inside.
Yeah, lots of room.
I'd have to check and see if this one's wide enough for what we want to do with the ports. Yeah, we have to talk about what we're doing with the ports, but I kind of think I'd like to go with this one.
Well, smaller is typically.
And there's still,
nicer.
You can see the layout's still fine on the inside. It's not too crowded or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we put this on the back of any of the Cocos, we can do it on this one. You would have a serial port coming out of it, or a serial plug coming out of it, which is going to be on this one right here, right? Or do I have it mixed up? That's a cassette, so serial will be over on this side.
Yeah, I can barely read it there anymore.
So we look at the width, we'd have to put this one, well, maybe you could even, this one would even work if we put it in the middle. It wouldn't block a port on either side, but we're gonna have other Cocos where there's a joystick port right beside this one, right?
Yeah.
So kind of wherever you put it, you're gonna block something. I'd rather block a cassette port than anything else if I'm gonna pick something. But there's a solution for it. If we have it like this,
you just knock a hole in the case.
We knock a hole in the case and the PCB that's big enough to plug an actual DIN plug into.
Yeah.
Which is kind of goofy, but it would work.
Oh.
So what you'd have then is you have your cassette plug that we talked about, your custom cable. You plug that in first, and it has a pigtail coming out of it with some kind of connector on it, maybe a phono jack or something.
Yeah.
And so you take that cable, stick it through the hole in the case, and then plug this in with that cable coming out, and then you just plug it into a connector on the outside of the box.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking right now.
Okay.
We could even do that then if we're having a pod, whatever we prefer.
Why do you call it a pod? What's pod mean?
Just the box, I guess.
The box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Cables.
So I mean, you've already done this with your light gun reproduction.
Yeah, it's not a ton of fun to do these, but it's gonna work. I mean, this is the most flexible option in my mind.
Yeah.
Because you've got quite a bit of room to move them to different port spacings on different Coco models.
Yes.
You can decide whether you're plugging one in or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And we could even do it where the cassette one has a jack here that it plugs into, so it's removable. That's getting fancier and probably would add some expense, but it's something to consider anyways.
Right. Well, so here's the thing. If this whole thing is going to be mono anyway,
yeah, why not?
Then maybe just require it to run through the cassette and just be done with it. Because I was thinking, well, if it's stereo, yeah, I want to be able to plug it into a nice big stereo sound system. But if it's not stereo, I'm not caring that much anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I like the charm of it coming through the speaker, like with the other Coco sounds, right? Yeah. I like the charm of that. So
yeah, the one thing I would say though is there's hardly any cost to adding the audio output.
Okay.
Like you've got this one jack.
Yeah.
And you've got to drill a hole in the case. That's your extra labor.
Okay.
There's probably like, I don't know, 4 solder points on this thing. There's not a lot to do.
Right.
And the jack is cheap.
Okay.